A horror icon is reborn. Question mark. Welcome to I Hope You Suffer. Oh, this movie sucks.
I like how the first line in the description is not related to the previous Leprechaun films.
Yeah, no shit.
But like the tagline is referencing it being reborn. Doesn't make any sense.
This is gonna be tough.
Wait, where's Kit?
I don't
Oh,
know.
Kit's gone.
Oh, did he? All right. Well, no more Kit. Let me see. I'll try to call him back. Oh, no, there he is.
There he goes. Hey.
Hello?
The fuck? Hello?
Yeah. I was just gonna keep going. Katie was like, "Is Kit gone?"
It was like Katie was mid-sentence, and then it just stopped. And I was like, did her mic cut out? And then it was just real silent. And I was like, shit.
It's
I don't know what happened. My Skype was just totally closed. Like, oh, okay, cool.
Skype was like, you're finished. Goodbye.
We're done here.
I had said the first line is not related to the previous Leprechaun films. Like, who's just letting that sit there, Leprechaun?
I feel like I'm just gonna leave all of this in the intro.
Why not?
This is episode 117 of I Hope You Suffer. My name is Nathan.
I'm a ghost, perhaps.
I'm still thinking about Shong lately.
Wow, a week later?
Wild.
You know it.
It's just been on her mind the whole time. It's an intrusive thought. The lepreschlong.
Oh god, I need to make a note about Schlong lately, so I remember to make that like what we're standing for that previous episode, because I will forget by the time I set it up.
I want to make that a shirt.
Yeah, put lepreschlong as the one for this.
Yeah, make a leper song. I hate this.
Do it, Kit. Kit's the
penis
ween.
artist.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I have yet to see any products, Kit.
These things take time, okay?
You
You don't just produce a lepreschlong out of thin air.
I mean, you're Irish, you should be able to.
I feel like we should just talk about dicks for a long time instead of this movie.
I don't really want to.
I've been saying this for years now. I wanted this to be a dick podcast.
This week we are talking about the soft, flaccid Leprechaun movie, Leprechaun Origins from 2014.
Leprechaun
really
Origins Wolverine.
I would have rather watched Wolverine.
I really hope
I don't know.
this isn't someone's first episode and they're like, what the fuck?
We just
Oh,
talk
yes.
about dicks and Wolverine.
Yeah. I mean, if you think about it, what else is there to talk about?
What if Wolverine's dick had a claw?
I was thinking that, but I didn't
What
want
if
to
his
say
claws were dicks?
I'll say it.
Oh.
Whoa. Does that mean he has a dick that comes out of his other dick?
Yes. Oh, God.
That's like worse than Edward Boner Hands or
Is it-
whatever.
Edward Penis Hands.
There you go.
I've got a drawing from like 10 years ago that I did of Mr. Fantastic, but he has dicks for arms, called
Wow.
Mr. Fantastic. I
No.
gotta dig that up.
Come on, Marvel, get at us. You want to really reboot the Fantastic Four in a good way. There is no better person for this episode to be a Patreon episode for our Patreon shout out than like my friend Tiffany.
Oh no, Tiffany.
blend up some meat and pumpkin spice it. Give it to me as a shake.
If I asked you if I gave you a big bowl of chili, might it affect your memory?
But what's the movie going to be called? Really?
I know what it's going to be called.
Yeah, what's that?
If it's got Carrot Top in it, you know what a good name for it would be?
What's that, Norm?
Box Office Poison.
Nothing gets you high like drugs.
So, yeah, our Patreon shout out this episode, full of dicks, is for literally, like, the friend I've known the longest in my life, my friend Tiffany.
She's, like, one of the nicest people ever, and we're up in here just being like...
She's talking about dicks.
She's gonna love it. But she is a meat shake monster. Unless we decide to change it to something about dicks. In the meantime.
I think meat shaped monsters still kind of applies if you think about it.
All I can think about is cum being the meat shake now. So
I'm done. Goodbye. Goodbye.
I mean, yeah. All of that was better than this movie, so.
I mean.
Also, thank you, Tiffany.
Thank you.
Thank you.
For being a friend.
So, I had seen this before. I hate it. This is one of my least favorite movies I've ever watched.
Damn.
What did you guys think on first watch?
Kit.
It was better than I thought it was going to be. I had the lowest expectations possible, and it was, like, whatever. I felt very ambivalent about it.
I didn't know what to expect, so what I got was very unexpected, because I didn't know that this movie literally takes a hard turn into being just, like, a quote-unquote regular horror movie. And, like, it was okay. It was kind of stupid, but, like, it wasn't bad, I guess.
My big thing is, like, what, like, I understand what their idea was of, like, well, we have the rights to the name Leprechaun, so let's use it. But it's like, this could have been an okay, just generic monster horror movie without being tied to the Leprechaun franchise. And I think, for me, like, having that title to it, like, makes it that much worse for me.
No, I agree with you, because it's like, what does this have to do with anything?
Well,
first of all,
it would be like them being like Freddy Krueger Origins and then just being this movie, and you're just like, what the fuck?
I mean, like, essentially, yeah. Like, it doesn't, like, if it was just a movie about a monster based on a leprechaun, I would it would have been totally fine. Like, the plot didn't bother me, but I don't know how you're gonna make a movie and be like, not related to previous Leprechaun, but it's part of the Leprechaun franchise. Like, it makes no sense to me at all.
It makes all of the sense when you know it's a WWE movie.
Oh, I wrote that down. I saw that come up, and well, because I knew that you guys said that Hornswoggle was in this, and I actually know of him. So, and then I don't remember when it was, but before you were just like, yeah, he's in it, but it's not what you expect. And I was like, what can that mean? And then whenever you see him, I was like, what?
It is the biggest fucking waste of, like, having him in the movie.
It is.
And then, like, you find out, like, he was like, I didn't watch any of the previous ones because I did want it to affect my performance. And I was like, what the fuck are you talking about?
Shut up, Hornswoggle.
It's also, like, I don't know. I also, like, don't understand the choice to they do this, like, blurry camera thing to, I guess, try and not have it focus on the leprechaun as much. But I just found it very stupid.
Yeah, like, it's a lot, like, they do that thing that was, like, kind of popular in, like, the early 2000s of, like, during a monster tax, it's just, like, super fast paced and the camera's like just wiggling all over the fucking place. You can't really focus on what's happening as a way to like, I think, like, bypass some of like the gore and stuff to have like, you know, get through like the MPAA and all that shit. And it's just like, it's annoying. It's gives me a headache watching it. It just looks like shit.
Yeah, I agree. I also hated almost every person in this movie.
Yeah, none of them are good. I think if I would have watched this movie without like the Leprechaun title attached to it, I don't think I would hate it as much as I do. But knowing that it's supposed to be a Leprechaun movie, it just makes me like despise it that much more. And it's just it's on its own. It's just like a generic whatever kind of like straight to Netflix, shitty horror movie. But I hate it.
What if it was a Leprechaun movie?
And it was Shawn Michaels?
I was gonna say Shawn from Boy Meets World, but Shawn Michaels works.
Just Shawn Michaels like shrunken down.
He's fucking super kicking everyone.
I'm into the Shawn from Boy Meets World Leprechaun. I'm into that.
Kickstarter.
I'll do it.
I know Ryder Strong's not doing anything.
You know what? And he doesn't look a day over 25.
Has he done anything since Cabin Fever?
I'm pretty sure that he's done.
I mean, I'm sure he still acts, but
he's just been riding strong, man.
He sure has.
You remember when Vader was his dad?
That episode rule. They're trying to be at two parties at once, and they accidentally left the Vader masks on, going to the like fancy dinner party or whatever.
God, that show was so weird.
Yeah, he's been like I don't think he did any more, like, I don't think he's starred in anything else, but he's just done like stuff in like random TV shows, and I'm pretty sure he's done some voice acting.
Eli Roth.
Girl Meets World.
Ruining another burgeoning career.
Girl Meets World was so bad.
Was he in that?
Girl Meets World, yeah.
I don't know. I mean, I didn't know if he ever like showed up.
Yeah, he did.
What about Mr. Feeney? Is he in it? Is he still alive?
I'm pretty sure he was in the beginning. I only watched like half a season because it was I really tried to power through just because I loved the original so much, but I just couldn't. It's just the fucking worst. It's really bad.
What if instead of talking about Leprechaun, we just do Feeney calls for an hour?
I'm down. Somebody needs to... Okay, can we put Boy Meets World movies on there as a thing people can pick from?
Yes.
So I want to talk about Boy Meets World.
Because I will talk about the Batman Beyond Joker movie on that episode.
All right, let's do it. Put it down. Someone pick it.
Whatever. The brother in that in Boy Meets World, whatever, Savage's brother does the voice
Fred?
of no, not Fred Savage. Like in the show. What's
I was confused.
What's the kid's name and like what's the character's name?
Scooter.
No, it's it's Will Friedle.
Yeah, that's
Friedle?
right. Yeah.
Oh.
He does
Will Scooter.
Batman Beyond and a bunch of DC shit.
I love him. He is so much fun. He still does like cons and stuff.
I'm adding the word scooter to our list of theme ideas, so we have to find movies with scooters. You can either find an actor named Scooter or an actual scooter.
Okay.
Alright, so this movie was directed by Zach Lebowski.
Zach Lebowski?
Yeah.
The small Lebowski?
Yeah. Written by Harris Wilkinson and Shalom Gelt, who also wrote as Scott Salter, who was a writer on Halloween Havoc, which was the tie-in I mentioned the last episode. So he wrote on WCW's Halloween Havoc kit.
I was gonna say, I thought you meant like Halloween Havoc '95.
Yeah, that's what I meant.
Oh,
He was a WCW like writer and helped like write some of their storylines.
amazing. Which ones?
I don't know.
That's the real question.
I'm like,
I'm gonna do some research.
he has like a handful of WCW credits on like IMDb, but like I think the first one was Halloween Havoc, so starting with a bang.
He was also the executive producer of a TV series called Vanilla Ice, Flip Advice.
Yeah, is that the one about Vanilla Ice flipping houses?
Vanilla Ice goes Amish? What?
Yeah, there was like a weird time period where Vanilla Ice was, for some reason, a reality star.
He was a producer on Ghost Shark. And
That
Jersey
checks
Shore
out.
Shark
Jersey Shore
Attack.
Shark Attack.
Yeah. Okay. And Swamp Shark.
Oh no.
What?
What is Paranormal Plantation?
I
Oh
don't want
shit, he was a writer on Jean-Claude Van Johnson.
All right. Guy. Wow.
And
Oh,
Jersey
also
Shore Shark Attack.
The two Coreys. R.I.P.
Oh no, he was 1999 Halloween Havoc.
Boo, I assume. I
Yeah,
don't know.
that I don't
That
think
was-
that was great.
That was the one where
Hold on.
Goldberg won like 8 titles.
Say 98 was him beating DDP, which is horseshit. I'll stand by that till I die.
Yeah.
Yeah, 99
Yeah.
is the one where Goldberg beat Sid Vicious and then came back and beat Sting and then had like one of the titles like
yeah,
revoked.
that
the
was so
next.
stupid. That was fucking what's his name? Russo, I think. Right? That was
Yeah.
like his first month on the job.
I mean, probably that seems like a Russo.
He also like writes under Scotty Gelt. He's got so many names. Scotty Atkins. What is he like? What is going on with that?
A lot of it ends up being like ways to bypass either union things or like say he had like a specific like contract with like WCW, but like also still wanted to write like movies. He would do it under like a different name. It's just a way to kind of like bypass things. A lot of times it'll be somebody like, you know how like Stephen King changed his name for like a novel just to see, or like some people will just be like, well, you know, like I'm so tied, or you know, like most people know me for doing like horror, but I want to do something else, so like, you know, I'll write under a different handle to do this comedy movie.
But I want to work with Vanilla Ice.
I mean, who doesn't? Anyway, this movie stars Dylan Hornswoggle Postal. I don't know how to pronounce his last name. Postl.
Yeah, I
The
don't.
swag.
Trust.
That's what we call him.
Who did he used to like wrestle with? I feel like was racking my brain driving home this morning.
Shit.
'Cause
Who was he paired with?
It should have been Ken Shamrock, but it wasn't. It's something Finn, isn't it?
Was it Fit Finley? Was
Yes,
he with
Fit
Fit
Finley.
That makes sense.
Yep.
Katie knows.
Oh,
just-
yep. Finley's
goofed it.
Leprechaun.
Also stars Stephanie Bennett, Andrew Dunbar, and Melissa Roxburgh.
Sure.
Roxburgh. Roxburgh.
And Brendan Fletcher, who was the only person I knew.
I didn't know anybody in this movie, and none of them were on Seinfeld, so I don't care.
I
Well,
knew the one dude from Freddy vs. Jason.
yeah, that's who I just said.
Okay.
There was
I didn't know his name.
like there was an insane amount of like people that worked on this movie that did like a bunch of like cool horror movies, but like, you know, when you go through like camera operators and costume design and shit, and I don't know how they ended up in this one.
Sometimes you just need money.
Yeah, he's like not normally like one of the main guys. Like he He was in a couple episodes of iZombie. He was in Bates Motel. He was in The Killing. He's usually just like a pop in and out kind of guy. So I knew him from like that stuff.
I don't want to talk about this. I feel like the plot of this movie is going to go by very quickly.
Yeah.
So
I mean, it's not... Alright, let's
power through this and talk about wrestling.
Yeah, I'm in.
Talk about that jerk pulling out Orange Cassidy's pockets.
Yeah, how rude. I don't
John
stand
Silver.
for that.
Unbelievable.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay, so essentially this movie just opens up. We're in Ireland, so it's gorgeous. There's a girl and a guy running through the woods.
Also, we should note, not in Ireland.
Well, where they filmed it is gorgeous. Which was where?
I think it was in Canada somewhere.
I tried to just look really quick. Yeah, you're right. So
always right.
So they're like running through the woods, trying. Obviously, they're being chased. She drops her bag or throws her bag or whatever. He falls, like stabs some kind of machete type thing into the ground. They run around in this field. Eventually, he gets got. There's like snarling and zipping, and we get leprechaun. What we assume is leprechaun vision, because like we know there's leprechauns, so at least we get some leprechaun vision in this, I guess.
The one outside.
Yes. We get two kinds, because we get one leprechaun vision where everybody's heat signature is like gold colored, and then we also get a first person view in real life of like when the leprechaun's dragging her away, we see just like her being dragged, like that kind of perspective, which was kind of weird. I feel like they just did too many things with the camera in this for me, I guess maybe is what I'm saying.
You don't like the leprechaun vision?
I don't not like it, but I feel like them doing this like first person thing, not the leprechaun vision, but the first person stuff, combined with like the shaky blurry camera shit, was just like too much for me.
As it has been well established that Kit and I are fans of any time there is a vision of whatever the creature sees,
I am too,
and
but...
I like the idea of what they were going for, of he has this weird vision, but he obviously sees like gold kind of like pops out or whatever, but like I don't know, I don't feel like they did a very good job at like.
I just don't know why they needed two different kinds of like perspectives of the leprechaun also. Like,
what if he has two different eyes and each one sees a different thing? So just like closes one depending on what he's looking for.
But it's I don't know. I don't think so.
What if one is lepreschlong vision?
What if his dick?
What do you see with that?
His dick was looking for the gold.
I really hate
Think about it.
I regret everything.
Leprechaun coming in 2021.
Okay, so she gets dragged away. She's screaming, and we're in Ireland. So we're introduced to our main group of people, who are David and Jenny, who are a couple, and Sophie and Ben. And I hated Ben so much. I could not wait to see him be murdered. Just to put that out there.
None of them are great. None of these characters you like.
They're all pretty annoying, but
they all have like shitty personalities that you like. Basically, just don't care that like any of them, like if any of them live.
Yeah. Definitely. So they are essentially just like on a trip to Ireland, going to this specific village, and the driver like drops them in this field and is essentially just like, you can walk to the village. I'm not going any further. Which, if you've seen any tourist movie ever, you knew that they were in for a fun time. But they don't think anything of it. Actually, David kind of complains, and he's just like, God, I don't want to walk, whatever. So essentially, they like walk through this field, and we see this like stone column with runes on it, and they're like, whatever. You also get this. I just wrote old beardy with shotgun stares at them, and then like we never see this guy again. So I don't really know what. I guess it was just supposed to be uneasy. And I guess like maybe that's my other thing with this one is that like they tried really, really hard to make this just like a just regular horror movie, and so I feel like there was a lot of tropey stuff in it that like didn't work for me.
I don't know if you've ever seen any of the other movies that WWE has produced.
I probably not.
But they're all like, for the most part, like it's usually like action movies.
Okay.
Like they had like a series called The Marine that had like 800 different people playing the Marine in it. And it's just like the most like tropey action movies.
Yeah, it's all generic as shit.
Okay, that makes a lot of sense then. Because that's like essentially what this is. We'll get to it. There were like a couple parts that I was like, oh, that's a cool shot. But overall, meh. Old beardy. So then they make it to the village. They're like looking around.
What do you guys?
And they're like,
what do you guys think the #1 movie is under Tied to a Tree? This is not good.
Heavyweights.
Night of the Treeple.
Django Unchained.
Huh.
Is Night of the Treeple real?
No.
Oh,
but I have
want
a poster for it.
That's hilarious. Let's
see what Heat Vision's got.
Oh, Heat Vision.
Bloodshot.
I don't think I looked at them for these.
They're nothing like out of the ordinary. Reference to the University of California at Berkeley. Holy shit, why are there so many movies under that?
Berkeley is like a pretty... like...
I know, but it's literally reference to the University of California at Berkeley.
Well, I was going to say, I feel like it's a popular movie place to pick because I guess they feel like people know where it is. Like... But then it's like she's gonna go there, and then like her boyfriend got into Harvard. I was like, okay.
I feel like none of the kids in this movie could get into Harvard.
No.
Let's see what Xenophobia has.
There's a lot. There's 367 titles.
Yikes.
Including Terror Vision, number 41.
All of them Sacha Baron Cohen movies, apparently.
Oh, I'm sure.
2 of the top 5 are.
Well.
I like characters killed one by one and characters murdered one by one, back to back. F word. Oh,
Final.
God.
Loss of friend.
I regret looking up Murder of a Girl.
Oh, no.
#1, V for Vendetta, for some reason. Oof.
Ambiguous ending. Irish. Look of the Irish better be on here.
What do you think #1 is for Machete?
Is it something ridiculous?
Halloween 5.
It's The Gentleman?
I've never even heard of that.
How is it not the movie Machete?
That's what I'm saying. Oh, The Gentleman is also #1 for under Irish. So,
We'll see what.
#1 under Leprechaun is Darby O'Gill and the Little People, and not Leprechaun.
As it should be.
Leprechaun's number 5.
What do you think? Oh, okay. #1 for Flashlight.
Flashlight?
Yeah.
Flashlight?
Yeah. Think Layla.
Supernatural?
Yeah.
What? Why?
Is it a flashlight heavy program?
I mean, there's nighttime a lot, but like, I wouldn't say flashlight's the thing I take from it.
What? Number one. Oh, I don't even know what this fucking movie is. I just looked up boyfriend-girlfriend relationship. Oh, it's like all TV shows. Halloween. Halloween 2018. I guess there is that fucking weird boyfriend-girlfriend shit in it.
I know that we looked up surprise ending before, but I was like, hocus pocus.
Okay, I have to take umbrage with the fact that this is tagged an independent film. And it had the backing of a multi-billion-dollar company behind it.
WWE.
I think that somebody just like went in and tried to like, I don't know. It seems like they tried to add stuff that would get it, because it's like remake of cult film, slasher flick. Like,
I bet since Vince classifies all of his wrestlers as independent contractors, he thought it was like the same thing.
Yeah, he was like, yeah, this checks out.
Wow. Oh my gosh. Okay. What happened?
Feely.
Beardy. Okay, so they get to
one more.
Okay.
What do you think number one is for characters murdered one by one?
Cats.
Wait, no, I know this. Smoking Aces.
Halloween 2018.
Damn it.
Number 2, Scream. Number 3, A Nightmare on Elm Street. Number 4, Split. Number 5, The Thing.
Okay.
Where's Smoking Aces?
I do not see it yet.
A shame.
I'll tell you if I come across it.
I don't think anyone remembers that movie but me, so good luck.
I never saw it, but I know the title.
I've definitely never seen it. Yeah, I can see the like poster in my mind. Okay, all right. So they find the village. They go to a pub. They get pints. They are arguing about the fact that Sophie was supposed to go to college for history, but now maybe she might not because her boyfriend is going to Harvard, and like essentially it's just developing that all of these people, or I don't know, they're just like pieces of shit and they all argue with each other and it's like annoying.
Yeah, they seem like terrible friends that I would not want to go on vacation with.
So I think the situation is that Sophie and Jenny are like best friends, and but like they don't get along. The boyfriends don't get along, and I don't think Jenny likes Ben, which same, because I hate him. So I don't know why they would decide to like go overseas together, but she's essentially like it's their last weekend in Ireland, and they came to this village just to look at like historical shit. So Hamish is a local, and he overhears them talking about how she is like a history person, and he tells them about the oldest artifacts in Ireland that nobody has actually heard of because it's a secret. Which, come on, guys.
Yeah, you know, all of the hidden areas in the Earth now that Google Earth is a thing.
That someone would also just be like, oh, it's a hidden secret of our village, but I'm just gonna tell you tourists. Like, come on.
Yeah.
Called the Stones of the Gods, and it is a 7-hour hike.
Jesus.
To get to the ruins, and Ben is a jerk off about it. But they all vote that they're gonna go except for him. It's like 3 against 1. And so Hamish is like, cool, I'll get my son Sean to come pick us up, and you guys can stay in my cabin and leave in the morning. So Sean is Hamish's son, as I said, is like really cranky, and Hamish is just like, don't worry about him. He just gets cranky in the summer. And I was like, girl, same. And Sean, oh no, Sophie. Yeah. Sophie is like the history person. Is asking about the symbols on the stones that they saw when they were like coming into the village, and Hamish is just like, I don't know. The town's really old. And we don't know what they say. And essentially just says something about how like the town used to be like super prosperous because of tourists coming to see the mines, but then there was like a collapse in the mines. Now times is tough, essentially. So they get to the cabin, which looks really cute outside, but it looks really gross inside. Ben is like pretty skeptical about the whole thing, which, I mean, same. They hear a noise in the field, and Hamish gets his gun, and it's essentially just like, Sean's like, get behind me, get in the house, or whatever. And Hamish is just like shooting into a field, even at something that we can't see. And Hamish is just like, there's just wild boars running around here. And I was just like, and they're gonna go on a 7-hour hike. There's just like boars running around. It seems like a bad idea.
I just like that, like, how like scared they seem. Like, like of like whatever they're shooting at, and they're like, it's just a wild boar. But they look genuinely like, oh fuck.
My other thing is that, like, why didn't they just let him get him at this point? I don't know.
I assume there's some sort of, like, they have to give like the
rules that we don't know.
Like the gold offering and shit first.
Maybe. So this is when I got really suspicious, because Hamish, they like let them in the cabin and leave them and like give them beer, and I'm like, why is he just giving them beer? There's this whole thing about how Hamish has a gold Rolex, and they're like, oh, nice watch, I guess you guys can't be hurting that bad, which is like a pretty shitty thing to say, because like it could just be an heirloom, you know what I mean? But they like give him shit about this, and he's like, oh no, it was just from a guest because they appreciated our hospitality or some shit. But then when he leaves the gold Rolex like hanging on the porch, and you're like, oh, here we go. So Sophie and Ben have like a really awkward conversation about how he's going away to college, and she's like, hey, how would you feel if I like came with you to Harvard? And he's just like, that's interesting. And I was like, okay. Like, essentially, he does not want her to come, I guess. She tries to like seduce him, and he's just like, nah, so they go to sleep. Meanwhile, David and Jenny are making out, and David falls asleep, and she's like, great. So she's just gonna like read or whatever, but then she hears some like banging, and she goes to see what it is. I wasn't looking whenever something like bangs on the window. I don't know if, did you actually see the leprechaun?
I don't think you see the, like, you really never see like a full view of it, but like I don't think you really see it until after it attacks them in the house.
Yeah, because like she was like extremely freaking out after that point, so I thought maybe she like had actually seen it, because it was just a bump bang on the window. Like David comes out and essentially is just like, okay, but we're in the woods, so like chill out, and they like laugh at her. But then everyone comes out and is like, what's wrong? And she's freaking out, and she's like, we have to leave, there's something out there. And I'm like, yeah, good idea, leave the safety of the house, I guess. David tries to open the door to like go check, but it's locked, and now we realize that they are completely locked inside the house. Then we see an arm thing, something take the gold Rolex that has been hanging on the porch, and we're like, oh, here we go. So Jenny, they're basically just like freaking out a little bit, because they're like, why would they lock us in here? Like, did they give you a key? Meanwhile, Jenny is like backing up and like sitting down by the fireplace, which seems like a bad idea because the fireplace looks terrifying. But she's just like chilling, and there's this shot like over her shoulder of the leprechaun like showing up, but it's like really blurry, that I thought was like pretty cool, and he just like reaches out and rips her earring off. And then we get leprechaun vision, and he's like chasing them around the room, and I essentially they like barricade themselves in the bedroom, and they're just like, Jenny is like freaking the fuck out, and they're like, wow, what was that? That was crazy. What? And then Sophie is like trying to look under the door to see what it is, and he just like slaps his hand down there, and she's like, no, it's not great. So they're just like sort of talking about like what they're gonna do, and then the leprechaun just like busts through the wall, I guess. And
is this when it like pops out from? It's because there's like a trap door in the fireplace.
Well, no, they're in the bedroom.
Oh, okay.
It's already in there, yeah.
I
don't
don't
know.
remember. I feel like so much of this first kind of attack blurs together for me because it's just like so like boring.
Well, we also don't. Yeah, we also like don't know. Like whenever he came through the fireplace, I just assumed he like came through the chimney like Santa Claus. Like, we don't know that there's a hatch there, and I also whenever there was,
by the way.
Yeah. I mean, whatever. So like essentially, they're in the bedroom. The leprechaun like busts through the wall, and they're like screaming, and that's when I took a snapshot of it, and I was just like, what in the Voldemort is this? Like, it just kind of looks like a demon.
You know you're not supposed to say his name, right?
Oop. I'm not afraid of him.
You shouldn't be. You should be afraid of the Dementors, too.
The Dementors. I will punch his little baby chicken face in the head. Okay. He pops in. He's, like, gray. He's, like, kind of gnarly looking. He has, like, kind of like a skull demon face with pointy ears, essentially. He also looked, like, pretty big.
Yeah,
So that's why I was confused.
I really don't think Hornswoggle plays this character.
Like, that's like whenever he showed up, I just was like, I don't understand. I don't know. Anyways,
I think this movie's a lie.
I think so too. I think they just like put his name on it to like sell the movie or something. 'Cause it's like taller than them looking sometimes.
Yeah.
So, I don't know. Anyway, it pops in and it's like, rawr! And then they flip the bed over on it, and that's when they run out of the bedroom and go through the fireplace. Like, I'm not really sure how they, like, literally the fireplace just has a hatch that opens to the world, like to the woods, which I have never seen in my whole life. Like, I had no idea that was a thing. That was a thing.
Have you ever had a real fireplace?
It is. Yeah.
Yeah, you just didn't like look enough. How do you think Santa gets into your house?
He comes down the chimney.
No, there's a little hatch.
I just have questions about having fireplaces in areas that aren't backing the outside.
Katie. Lepreschlong.
That's it. That's the magic.
That's where the magic comes from.
That's where Santa pops out.
Yeah.
Every Christmas.
Yikes. He just like sticks it in there and he just like bloop. Yeah, so I don't know. I don't know how they figured out that. I guess they could see the light, moonlight from out. I don't know. They just like leave the fireplace, like leave through a hole in the fireplace, and just leads outside. David gets like grabbed, and they pull him out, and then they like shut the door, and the leprechaun's inside. They shut the hatch, and they're like, oh my god! As soon as like David got scratched, I was like, goodbye, R.I.P. bro. There's just no way he's gonna survive. But so they essentially like are like, oh, maybe we can go, because like on the way to the cabin they saw Hamish's old farmhouse, and they're like, let's go to the farmhouse. So they're like hauling ass down the road. David falls, and Jenny, his girlfriend, and Ben just like see him fall and then keep hauling ass. Like they don't even, not a moment's hesitation. And I was like, wow, what the fuck. Sophie sees him, and Sophie comes to help because we also see that the leprechaun is chasing them, and she throws her lantern, which like explodes for whatever reason and like scares the leprechaun. So there's a long scene of them like getting to the house, and they get in. They shut the door. The leprechaun's like banging on the door, and David is essentially just like, "What the fuck? Like, how could you guys leave me back there?" And they like kind of don't even acknowledge him that happened.
Yeah, I told you they seem like good friends.
I mean, like, they all fucking suck. So Sophie finds a switch that turns on a bunch of floodlights outside. I mean, I guess we're assuming that the leprechaun is scared of light. I don't really know. I mean, no, because he like attacked those people in the daytime. You're scared of light?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's awful.
It is pretty terrible.
Dark's pretty bad too, though. So I don't know.
We need like
really...
permanent dusk.
Yeah,
when I'm elected president.
Okay. Yeah.
I'd vote for you.
The whole platform.
Yeah, I would too.
Could have a flag with fucking the Fantastic.
Mr. Fantastic.
Yeah. Mr. Fantastic. Yeah, it sucks here now because it's like broad daylight, and then at like 5:15 it's nighttime, and I'm like, what the fuck?
Yeah.
What is this shit?
Waking up at 6 a.m. and it's just like, hey, it's bright sunlight outside. It's like, oh,
yeah.
This is awful. Don't do this to me.
It's terrible.
Ease me into the day.
Nope. So then they go down to the basement for some reason, and there's a pile of clothes, from the other tourists that the leprechaun has attacked, and I'm like not really sure why their unstained clothes are just laying in a pile.
Pile of like brick cell phones in 2014.
Yeah. And clean clothes just in a pile. Like not really.
Well, I mean,
don't know.
if the like if people were traveling, if it's like the same sort of thing, you would assume there would be like some clean clothes in their luggage.
Why are you keeping them though?
I don't know. What are they supposed to do with them?
Burn them?
They had a cool Motley Crue tour shirt they wanted.
Yeah. What if they got some like cool stuff that you just want to keep us on eBay later? But you gotta wait for shit to
worth
calm
money
down.
on Depop.
Well, that's fine, I guess.
You didn't think about that, did you?
Mm-mm. You're right, I didn't. Hamish, Sean, and some other guy that's not old Beardy, just some guy named Ian, are talking in the field, and they're talking about how they're going to go check on the people to see if they've been eaten. Sean is sad about it, basically, and his dad is like giving him shit about being sad that he has to lure and sacrifice people. Like, I mean, Hamish is just like, they're outsiders, like, they came here on their own. Times are tough. Like, okay. They bandage David's leg up, and Sophie also finds a book with the runes that they saw on the stones when they approached the village, and they say Leprechaun. Wow. And so eventually
they don't. Like,
well,
one of the things on the trivia things on IMDb was like, yeah, that's not the word for leprechaun.
No. So like essentially the story is that the village, I guess, took the leprechaun's gold, and that's how it was like so prosperous back in the day, and they have to sacrifice people to the leprechaun to make amends for stealing the gold. Okay. I'm not really sure. They just have to like have people for the leprechaun to eat for whatever reason.
Yeah, I mean,
and then,
basically it's just they stole its gold for like the town. Now the town is just having to like appease it by fucking sacrificing people and giving it gold back.
It's
yeah,
Bobby
like
Bonilla
gold
Day.
jewelry and shit. So Sophie has a map of the stones and is essentially just like, hey, I think the stones are a boundary, and if we cross the boundary, we'll be fine. And Jenny's like, yeah, that's why that guy wouldn't give us a ride. And I was like, or he just fucking hates you, you know?
Yeah, or he doesn't want to pick up fucking hitchhikers.
Yeah. So like the group that's Hamish, Sean, and Ian go back to the cabin and find out that it's empty, and they're like, what? That's weird. And then they notice that the lights are on in the farmhouse, so they go to the farmhouse. The kids hear, they're not kids, but, you know, they hear that they've shown up and everyone gets weapons. So Sean comes down the stairs and is like looking around, and then they're just all standing there with weapons, and he's like, hey. What? And Sophie basically, oh, wait, I wrote S, but Sean and Sophie. Sean, I think it's Sean tells Hamish.
It doesn't even matter.
Oh, yeah. So Hamish is essentially just like, how did you guys all escape from that cabin? And then Sean's like, hey, I think they earned their freedom. Like, we shouldn't kill them. But then you hear Ian upstairs outside, like, shooting and yelling and stuff. So they leave. The group gets out somehow. Who cares? They've got, like, axes and shit. Hamish finds that Ian has been impaled on some kind of thing. And the leprechaun is there, like, growling and stuff, and Hamish jumps out a window and, like, escapes into the woods or whatever. David is, like... So they've been, like, running, and David falls and is like, ow, my leg hurts. Like, it's pretty gross. And
his leg doesn't look great.
No, it looks pretty bad. Then they see car lights, and it is Mary, who was the barmaid in the very beginning. And they get in, and they're like, hey, Hamish and his son tried to kill us, or, like, after us or whatever. And she's like, oh, my great heavens, they tried to hurt you? Well, get in. And I was just like, wow, you guys are dumb. You just read that the entire village has to sacrifice people, and then you think Mary, the barmaid's gonna help you? Anyways, then there's, like, this whole scene of them, like, getting in the car and, like laying, like, leaning on each other, like, yeah, we made it. And I was like, no, you fucking didn't. There's still, like, half an hour of this movie left. Mary.
How did you not know?
Right? Duh. God. So Mary gets out of the car with her flashlight, and then a car pulls up, and it's Hamish and Sean. Surprise! Wow. She's in on it. So they get out of the car, and they're basically just like, Hamish and Sean have guns, and the other people, and Ben has just, like, a pipe, and he decides that he's gonna, like, attack Hamish, and they all start just, like, struggling and fighting or whatever. Mary hits Sophie in the head with the flashlight, and she passes out. So when she wakes back up, they are all now tied to trees with gold jewelry on them. Just, like, so stupid.
It's very dumb.
The leprechaun comes. I don't know. Everything's blurry. It's just, like, snarling and, like, hopping around the trees, essentially. But then the leprechaun, like, comes up to Jenny and rips her tongue off because she's got a tongue ring that I guarantee you is not actually gold, but whatever.
Nope, it's definitely stainless steel. It's like, looks gold.
It's like the gold-plated shit from Hot Topic, like, literally. Then, instead of just, like, actually killing her, you know, he just does that. Then he goes over to David and, like, slashes his stomach open, which also causes his ropes to become free, so he gets free. And he, like, cuts Jenny's ropes and then, like, essentially distracts the leprechaun because he gets RIP'd. He's dead. Bye.
Finally.
He made it pretty long he had some pretty bad shit going on with him. And so essentially, like, he cuts Jenny free, and then Jenny cuts the other ones free. Because, like, he gets free and starts to leave, but they're like, no, David, don't leave us. And I was like, you fucking left him. Like, what? So I guess in the end, he was the best of them. Unfortunately. Sophie is like, okay, let's go back to the cabin because we're going to kill the leprechaun. And I was just like, okay. So this is their dumbass plan. They get back to the cabin, and Sophie is like, okay, 2 people are going to stay inside the cabin, and 1 person is going to go outside so that when the leprechaun comes in the cabin, the other person can lock the fireplace door and lock it in because we're going to kill it. And I was just like, what?
Yeah,
What?
the plan is
Like,
not good.
and so Jenny's like freaking the fuck out, and Sophie's like, "Oh, don't worry, you don't have to stay in here with it. You just go outside and be the one that locks it in." And I was like, "Yeah, okay, this is gonna work out." Because like, also, they show her like hiding, and they show like far off shots of the leprechaun, and so like I couldn't even tell where she was. I guess she's underneath the porch. But there's like this weird shot of her looking like through the steps, and the leprechaun's like walking up the steps, and I'm like, how did he not see her?
Yeah, how did he not spot all of her gold?
I mean, I guess he's ripped off her gold by now. I don't know.
I need a like scary movie version of this movie. Solely because there would be a scene where like the leprechaun would just see like nipple rings or some weird stupid shit like that.
Yeah. Gross. Yikes. Ow. So the leprechaun like walks up the stairs or whatever, and we get this like long shot of like literally Ben and Sophie are just standing right in front of the fireplace with axes, and I'm like, why would he just walk in if he saw you? Like, hide or something. I don't know. It's fucking stupid. So basically, like, there's like the shot of like the leprechaun opening. It feels so weird calling this thing a leprechaun. He just looks like an earth demon.
He looks like a neomorph from Prometheus if it just like was human based.
Yeah, it's like wrinkly gray, like, I don't know. There's just nothing about it that makes me feel like it's a leprechaun. How did these creatures get gold? They're not like sentient-ish. Like the leprechaun's a person. You know what I mean? Not just like a creature that can't talk and shit.
Yeah, I don't know. Like I feel like they didn't.
There's no
think through this creature at all.
No.
I'm shocked to hear you say that about a WWE film.
Yeah.
Okay, so the leprechaun like opens the hatch really slowly. We see like a shadow of its like claw thing, and then the leprechaun, instead of walking through the fireplace, just slides Jenny under there, and they kill her. They just like axe her right in the face. I was not expecting that. I laughed pretty loud. She's dead, and they're like, and Sophie like immediately freaks out because this is like her childhood friend, right? And she's like crying and shit. And then there's a scene of like the leprechaun just like pulling Jenny out through the fireplace with the axe in her that I thought was pretty cool. Ben and Sophie immediately leave the cabin, even though the leprechaun's out there, and they're like, the truck's up there. So they like run up to the truck and get in, and the leprechaun is immediately there, like fucking around and like running around and like hitting the windows and shit. And they're like, oh no. And then there was a scene of like Sophie fell and he kept going, but she like picked herself up or whatever. And then Sophie's just like, hey, you suck. Like, why did you leave me there? And he was just like, like I was just trying to get to the truck, you know? And I was like, you piece of shit. Like, why are you gonna go on a vacation to Ireland with your girlfriend that you obviously don't like even a little bit?
I mean, it's what happened in Midsommar. That turned out all right.
In what?
Midsommar.
Okay.
What? I assume you've not watched that yet.
No. Let's see here.
Unbelievable.
Let's see. Okay, they don't have the keys, and they see Ian has died, and Sophie's like, oh, he's probably got the keys, we gotta go out there. Let's, like, create a distraction. So Ben gets out of the car with the flare to distract the leprechaun, and Sophie goes in there to get the keys, but when she comes back to the truck, the leprechaun's in the truck, I guess, I don't know. So they run back into the farmhouse. Just like, I don't know what the fuck is going on. Ben... Oh, I kind of like skip some stuff, I guess. Because I say they go back into the farmhouse, and then immediately, finally, Ben gets his spine ripped out. So
That part's pretty decent.
yeah. And especially because I was like really afraid he was gonna make it at this point, because we're getting pretty close to the end, and I was like, for the love of God, how are you gonna kill David and have Ben still be alive?
Please kill him.
Yeah, so they're like running around basically, and the leprechaun like grabs the back of his neck, and he's like, "Run, Sophie!" So she runs and hides in the attic or whatever, and then leprechaun just like pulls it right out. I was like, all right, because he's a spineless prick. Sophie's hiding in the attic. The leprechaun's just like creeping around up there for a long. Like, I felt like this shot was so long, because then he's like walking through the attic, just like snarling and shit, and then he like finds a trap door and just like peeks in at her and is like, "Hey," and she's like, "Uh-oh." But Sean shows up and starts shooting at it. So that's a whole thing. Sophie leaves the attic and comes down and finds Ben dead, and she actually doesn't really react that much. She's just kind of like, oh well. Hamish shows up and is basically just like, he's got a gun. He's basically just like, hey, like, you need to be eaten by this leprechaun. Can you just do this or whatever? But then Sean comes down and essentially it's just like, run, turns the gun on Hamish, and they like struggle a little bit. Hamish falls down the stairs, and then the leprechaun comes down, and Sean just like lets the leprechaun eat Hamish. So, oh well.
It's also like you don't get to see like any of it, so
no, it's just like leprechaun vision, and then he screams and Sean starts crying, and I'm like, all right, bro. So Sophie goes outside, starts the truck, and of course the leprechaun is out there and is like, she's like driving away, and it's like a whole thing. He's on top of it, like screaming and hitting it, and she's like screaming, 'cause whatever. And she like crashes it, I guess, and like the leprechaun goes flying, and she like gets fucked up a little bit, and it's just like gets out and is like stumbling around the woods. Ouch.
What?
Maytel tried to jump up and she fell and just clawed my leg.
You were probably asking for it.
No way. I didn't do shit to her.
You ate her chocolate Oreos.
Those were Marilyn's chocolate Oreos. She likes the kisses.
I don't know if either of them could have those.
They're definitely not supposed to, but Merlin's eaten half a package of Oreos and he's fine, so.
Is he?
I mean, I think he is now. I think we're in the clear. So she's just like stumbling around the woods, essentially, and she stumbles upon the backpack and the machete from the very beginning of the movie. She like rifles around in the backpack and finds the gold, and the leprechaun is creeping up on her, and she's like, "Fuck you, Lucky Charms," and tosses the coins up in the air.
I get it.
Yeah. A throwback. What? A throwback to a movie that is not related to this movie. How strange.
Technically, the first Leprechaun is ripping this one off, since this is the prequel. That's
right. It's the origins.
Warwick Davis just fucking stealing all over the place.
So she says this, tosses the coins up into the air, and when the leprechaun's like, "Oh, my babies," she gets the machete and chops its head off. And you see a shot of the head rolling on the ground, and it didn't look great.
Nope.
She is like, all right, well, that was not great. And so she runs through the field from the beginning, and as she runs past the the stone barrier. We get a pan out of the field, and there's like 5 more leprechauns coming after her, I guess, question mark. The end.
Leprechaun gang.
Ooh, very disappointed there wasn't 10 sequels to this. Just
Leprechaun re-origins.
Just a gang of leprechauns.
I would love if they did a leprechaun. If they took these leprechauns and did a movie where they were in a gang,
Just
like
dropped
either
them into Back to the Hood.
the Gremlins or like the Squirtle Squad or some shit. I would love that.
They should absolutely do like Aliens to Alien, and it's just leprechauns. Have like a roving gang of leprechauns.
I need somebody that knows how to edit video to just edit these leprechauns into Leprechaun in the Hood. So, like, I could see that movie with this nonsense in it.
I guess, like, I know I shouldn't really expect much from this movie, but it just, like, didn't make sense because...
No, it's all terrible.
Because at one point, I'm like, okay, how could that leprechaun be down in the basement eating that guy, but then also be out on the truck? And then it's like, oh, the surprise ending is that there's a lot of them, but then I'm like, if there's so many, I really feel like they could have just ganged up and ate the people. You know what I'm saying? So
Yeah,
poor planning
like,
on the leprechaun's part.
Well, there's no real explanation as to like why, like what's happening other than that they stole the gold, so the town's just like under siege or whatever. But like, why? Like, just eat the fucking town.
yeah, that's what I don't get about it, because like, well, I guess they don't want to eat the town because they need them to make amends by giving them the gold. Like, they want their gold back.
Yeah, eat them and take the gold back.
My question is, like, why do you care so much about the gold? It's gone.
This movie should have been exactly the same, except instead of, like, the noises the leprechauns make, it should have just been, like, Hornswoggle doing a bad Warwick Davis fucking impression and just, like, saying stupid rhymes the whole time.
Yeah,
He's
and I guess...
shouting, oi.
Oi! And I guess, like... I don't know. I just feel like this, like we said earlier, if this was not a Leprechaun franchise movie, it probably would have been better. Like, maybe I would have been like, oh, okay, well, that's kind of like an interesting take on it. But like the fact that like one of the things I like so much about the series is that he is like a person, you know, like he's a leprechaun, but he's a real guy that can like talk to you and shit, made the franchise stand out from other kinds of movies like that, and then they're just like taking that away and making it just like a fucking creature.
Biggest mistake was not having the Big Show play the leprechaun.
Yes, agreed.
Just gone the exact opposite direction.
I don't know.
Yeah, it's not good. I don't think anybody actually likes this movie. I'm sure there's probably some Letterboxd reviews that are like,
5 star.
this is actually pretty fun.
Best Leprechaun.
Okay, actually, I'm glad that you brought that up, because that was my main point. That was my main problem with this movie, is that it was not fun at all. Like, even Back to the Hood was a lot like more serious, but there were still things in it that were fun, and there was like nothing fun about this movie at all. And that's why I'm just like,
Yeah, it's not good.
No.
No 5-star ratings, so that's good.
Okay, cool.
That's surprising. There's usually at least one person that's just like,
Oh, I'm sorry, I misread it. 5. There's 5 5-star ratings.
No.
Is it
Lunatics?
Is it by like Billy Gunn and it's all Fit Finley, isn't it?
Wow, it's someone who rated Pinocchio's Revenge 2, which is clearly wrong.
Shame this person.
One of these 1-star reviews on IMDb, on IMDb says very awful and makes you nervous.
All right. I'm looking at Weekly World News Instagram, and Batboy to host Jeopardy? ?
Yeah. Aww. Get it, Batty.
Let's see. Dogman spotted in London graveyards. The Dogman still out and about.
Good for him. Hope he's wearing a mask.
Ejection seat added to Teslas. Oh, here we go. Candidates agree to settle election dispute with a duel.
Finally.
The Sarah Palin solution.
Oh, wow.
All right. Did you save any news for this episode, Katie?
I mean, the only other news that I saw, it's not really like new, but I think they have canceled both Castle Rock and The Outsider series. So
I did not know there was a series called The Outsider.
yeah, it was based off of like one of his newer books, which Stephen King obviously did not care for at all. But I had seen really good things about the show, and it's on HBO, I believe.
Yeah.
But it will not be returning for a second season, so womp womp.
I feel like there's probably a lot of stuff that's going to get canceled just because it's just like filming doesn't seem to be going well for anybody, so if it's not like a major show, it's probably not gonna make it.
Yeah.
Somebody should just start like airing all of the like failed pilots for shows from the last 50 years.
I want to see that too, because there are a ton of Stephen King ones, and some of the iterations of like stuff that they tried to make before they either scrapped it or ended up with what we have now just sound insane. Like, I've caught up on the King cast, and there's a lot of, because they get a lot of like famous people on there and like directors and stuff, and a lot of them had like direct hand in that kind of stuff, and it's just like so interesting to me.
I would like to see it's probably on YouTube, I've never looked, but there's a Clerks TV show pilot with Jim Brewer playing Jay Muse. I think he was playing Jay Muse. I know he was like cast in it, but maybe it was Randall, but either way, all of it sounds bad. All right. Do you guys have shout outs for this week?
SummerSlam 98. It's just what I've had on in the background while we're recording.
Oh, yeah.
And it has Stone Cold versus The Undertaker. It's the one with that super fucking cool poster of Undertaker swinging the Empire State Building.
Wow.
What about you, Katie? The Office.
Still The Office. Chocolate covered Oreos.
You tell me you haven't watched anything new in the last hour since we recorded the other episode?
Surprisingly, no.
Unacceptable.
Even I managed to watch SummerSlam.
I was gonna say, unlike Kit, who watches instead. I'm trying to think of anything I watched since we talked last, and I don't really think...
You've literally just sent me 8 million snaps of The Office, so...
I know. I think I started it on... Was it Thursday or Friday?
Well, we recorded Friday, so...
It was Friday, yeah. So I literally started... Like, I watched the last Leprechaun movie, and then I've been watching The Office since then.
Non-stop.
Yeah.
She sent me, like,
a
snap one day that was, like, episode 3, and then it was, like, the next day, I was like, are you almost to Michael leaving?
Yeah, I always, like, whenever I do a watch through, I always snap the same scenes, because, like, I don't know, they're just my favorite, and it's just, like, me snapping and, like, snortling.
Snortling?
I was gonna say snortling. Just, like, snort laughing, like, in the background, because I can't help myself, and he was just like, what, are you on season 3 already? And I was like, yo. I guess I'll shout out, I'm not caught up on it, but Deanna from Chat Cemetery has another podcast, which I've talked about before, called Welcome to Geekdom, which was that one where they did like Saves the Day, Spider-Man, just like all kinds of stuff. And her newest episode it's going to be old at this point, but she just dropped, was on The Haunting of Bly Manor. and I'm excited to listen to that because Haunting of Bly Manor, I really liked it. And if people haven't watched that and Haunting of Hill House, obviously please go and watch them because they're really, really good.
Watch Leprechaun.
I'm working on it.
No, you're working on it.
SummerSlam. Yeah, I've got a lot of SummerSlams to get through.
Yeah.
Yeah, if you're only on 1998.
Yeah, I had at least 22 years or whatever.
Just think of all of the disappointment you have coming forward.
So much.
Mine is the Bandcamp Friday thing that happened Friday 2 weeks ago when this comes out.
Right.
I picked up all of Jonathan Snipes from Clipping. Like every Bandcamp Friday, he's been releasing a new EP or sometimes pretty much a full length called Work Study that like went through like 0 to 9 and then now is like doing like letters or whatever. But each one I believe is field recordings and stuff that he made for clipping albums that they turned into like what the songs. So it's like some of it's straight up field recordings that they use to make like the noise and beats for clipping songs, and one of them is just like remixes of a clipping, like a bunch of remixes from one of the clipping songs and stuff, but they're all pretty interesting. So check out Jonathan Snipes' Work Study series because I like them and that means everyone else should too. That's how the internet works.
Essentially.
All right, next week, Leprechaun returns.
Oh man, finally.
Directed by our boy Steve Kostansky.
Yes.
Woo!
It's been a long journey, but we're finally here. Literally the only one that I was looking forward to.
Guys,
What?
what if they release another Leprechaun movie?
They might, man. I
Like
don't know.
in this next week.
They could.
At some point, we're gonna have to go back and do that fucking weird kids Leprechaun movie Warwick Davis made. That I feel is the real Leprechaun origins in my book.
Scooter the Leprechaun.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, watch Leprechaun Returns for next week. If you want to support us on our Patreon, you can do that at patreon.com/IHopeYouSufferPodcast, where if we get enough people, we will make replica schlong lalies to give people.
It's like, where's this going? I don't...
It'll be the shillelagh from Leprechaun 3 or whatever it was, but it'll look like a dick.
I'm not going to Google it, but
I'm sure
I
that
feel like
exists.
this is probably something that exists.
You can buy shirts and hoodies and stuff at our storefrontier, storefrontier.com/IHopeYouSuffer. Leave us ratings and reviews on iTunes. Leave us a review with your favorite schlong word that you could force schlong into. I don't know. Follow us on Twitter at IHYSPod and Instagram at IHopeYouSufferPodcast. But don't watch this movie, it's trash.
Oh my gosh, yeah, don't.
I am hungry for Chinese food, so I hope you suffer Guerrilla Radio.
I hope you schlong for
Lucky Charms.
Guerrilla Radio.
I hope you schlong for Guerrilla Radio.
Lights out, Schlong-rilla Radio.
I'm gonna start just like hanging up before we get to this part.